Hello everyone, this is Chris from AllstyleGuitar.com, and today we're going to be talking about hammer-ons and pull-offs. So what are hammer-ons and pull-offs? In the first place, a hammer-on and pull-off both function very similarly. It's just one goes up and the other one comes down. So a hammer-on is when we pluck a note, and then with another finger, we hammer onto another fret. Like that. So I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going from my first finger, I'm plucking that note, and then I'm hammering on with the second note. And you want to be careful to land on the tip of the finger, because if you land on the fleshy part, it's not going to sound as good. We want to be really accurate here and land on the tip of the finger, whichever one is hammering on. So, to put into practice, I'm just going to do a couple hammer-ons over the guitar neck. And it's easiest to do them with fingers 1 and 2. And the most challenging ones are with finger 4 and finger 3 usually, depending on the combination that we're doing. And there's many different types of combinations. So I'm just going to do a couple basic ones right now. So I'm going to do a hammer-on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, the G string. So here I'm going to pluck the note, and I'm going to hammer on with the 2nd finger. And I'm going to do the same thing with fingers 2 and 3. And then 3 and 4. Whoops. Now, when doing a hammer-on, focus on landing quickly on the fret. Don't worry too much about using a ton of strength, because that's how you're going to end up hurting yourself if you're trying to really squeeze the fretboard. You do not want to do that. Just think about moving quickly from roughly 1 inch or so above the string, and then quickly landing on the fret. So now, you can also do a hammer-on from the air or hammer-on from nowhere. It depends on the book you're reading, but these are basically the same thing. And that's when you pluck an open string. In this case, I'm plucking the D string. And then you hammer on with the finger onto anywhere on the string. Oops. So you can do this with any finger. I'll do it with my 2nd finger at the 12th fret, which is a little tricky. Whoops. And now the 3rd finger. And the toughest finger is with the pinky. So these types of hammer-ons are a little bit trickier because you sort of don't have a starting point when you have another finger down. So hammering on from the air or from nowhere is just slightly trickier than doing a hammer-on from another finger. So now, let's jump onto pull-offs. Pull-offs are the opposite. So instead of hammering onto a note, we're pulling off from one note to another. And the easiest way to put this is that you want to think of a pull-off, but the physical action of doing a pull-off is more along the lines of a pull-down. So here's the difference. Here is a literal pull-off. My finger is just pulling off in a direction away from the string. Now, if you want to do a proper pull-off, you're really going down. So you're going to put the energy of the finger more towards the floor, like this. And that is a pull-off. Okay, so again, this might be a little bit tricky because of course we think of pull off and we think pulling away, but that's really just something that comes along with the name. A pull off, I mean, should have been called a pull down, but it's way too late to change that. So now, one more time, a pull off is when we go down towards the floor. And these are a little bit easier with all the fingers because for a pull off, you always want to have one finger down on the fret that you're pulling off to. It's very difficult to pull off from one finger to another. For example, here I'm going to pull off from my third finger to my second finger on the 6th string. And it's a transfer of energy, but it's not quite right. So what you want to do with pull-offs, and this is a little trick that's going to be very helpful, is you want to have the finger that you're pulling off to already on the fret. So right now, I'm going to use fingers 2 and 3 on the 6th and 7th frets of the low E string. My second finger is on the 6th fret and it's already down, and it's already pressing the fret a little bit. So now with my third finger on the 7th fret, I'm going to do a pull-off, and it's going to sound very nice. And that's how you want to do an actual pull-off. And okay, so now we've reviewed hammer-ons and pull-offs, so let's just put it into some practice. Let's just do a couple very simple exercises going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the reverse, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's put our fingers at the 5th fret of the 3rd string, the G string. So we're going to hammer on from the 5th fret to the 6th fret. Okay, so now we're going to do the second finger to the 3rd finger. And lastly, we're going to do finger 3 to finger 4. The trickiest combination. And so you can do this anywhere on the fretboard. And now we're going to do the reverse, which you can also do anywhere on the fretboard. So finger 4 to 3, I'm making sure that my 3rd finger is already on the 7th fret so that the pull-off is nice and clean. And now we're going to pull off from finger 3 to finger 2. And lastly, finger 2 to finger 1. And so this exercise, you can do it anywhere on the fretboard. It's actually easier on the higher frets than it is on the lower frets because the spaces are much smaller up here than they are way down here. So if you're having any trouble with these, do it higher up on the fretboard. That way it'll be a little bit easier, and then over time you can sort of work your way down. So that's it for hammer-ons and pull-offs. I hope it was helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch and check out AllstyleGuitar.com for more tips and tutorials. Alright, bye-bye and see you next time.